I give up. I just can't complete this build. I tried doing many things, evolving the build into so many different versions to justify using crossbows, but it's unjustifiable, at least as a primary weapon, you resigned bastards. I loved using dual crossbows in the original Elden Ring. It was one of my builds that took down Radahn without any issues. It made it too easy. It was great against most of the bosses in the original, but unfortunately the DLC bosses work a little bit different. They work kinda similar, but they unfortunately counter the playstyle of dual crossbows with their default design, which is the flailing aggression. First I tried for New Game Plus double pulley crossbows. Double pulley crossbows is amazing combination for putting status effects such as frostbite, scarlet rot, poison and bleed on the enemies. However, it is a nightmare to play, even though the build itself is more than solid, but the playstyle of the build requires a lot of dodging, and dodging in the DLC against the bosses doesn't work so well. Mainly because of the lot of AoE attacks, a lot of delayed attacks and a lot of aftershock attacks, meaning when boss hits the ground and then something other happens within the next second. It can throw you off in so many ways that it's impossible, well not impossible, but very difficult to manage, concentrating on the bosses, reloading crossbows, watching what type of bolt you are about to shoot, and then go out to create enough distance in order to reload and shoot again. Another issue is that bosses move a lot, so it might be difficult to hit them with pulley crossbow, at least efficiently and frequently. That means a lot of wasted bolts, especially if you're using Scarlet Rot bolt, that is pain in the ass to farm, and a lot of missed shots where damage wasn't done in that brief period where we could actually shoot. With very exploitable defense while wielding dual crossbows, I've decided to switch the build a bit and add a shield, either a Palisade shield or a Briar shield. I've made shield poisonous, and because they have by default blood loss accumulation, I've added Crash, Ash of War, and used combination of Scarlet Rot bolts with either Frostbite or Bleed, depends on the situation. The idea was to poison the enemy with the shield, then inflict Scarlet Rot with the crossbow, and then continue spamming Crash plus Bleed bolts in order to frequently proc Bleed. Unfortunately, the way boss fights work in the DLC is who kills who first, meaning it's a DPS race. And anything with crossbows is not good for DPS. Great thing about this combination is that poison plus Scarlet Rot is really efficient. Unfortunately, enemies in between the ticks do so many attacks that eventually something catches you and then you have to heal, and if you're healing that means you are not reloading and shooting and so on. It's a mess. It looks great on paper, it works like shit in practical sense. I've tried using hard tier to give myself advantage with the shield, I've tried using shield more. I've tried using different crossbows like repeating crossbow, moon crossbow, black key crossbow, different bolts. I've tried all sorts of combinations, but they all fail in one thing, and that is the playstyle. It just doesn't fit the DLC bosses. Then I had another idea which made things too complex. I've added a staff, the staff that I was already using, the mother staff that can be used for sorceries and incantations at the same time, and I've added the Zamor Storm spell. The idea was that I would use it to inflict frostbite, then switch to crossbow in the main hand and shield in the offhand, with bleed and something like meteor bolts for pure damage or scarlet rot ones. Again, great on paper, in reality it sucks. It's just too gimmicky to juggle all of those things during the boss fight. Would be great to be able to inflict frostbite continuously with the staff, then inflict scarlet rot with bolts, and bleed with bolts plus the shield, and also poison with the shield. quadruple elemental attack. That's freaking amazing. But in this case, it doesn't work, playstyle wise. Then I tried using spread crossbows, which work something like shotgun crossbows. They actually worked very well in this case against Romina, but the problem is I had infinite arrows cheat code enabled, so I didn't figure how fast they go through all of the arrows, meaning you get 10 shots with one spread crossbow. That won't kill anyone. But that did give me an idea for crossbows to be used more frequently as a secondary weapon, because you can utilize them to create a lot of different procs like Scarlet Rot, Frostbite, Poison, whatever you need really in that circumstance, or just go all out with spreading crossbow until you run out of bolts and then switch to whatever normal style you usually play with. In that regard, crossbows are great. As a primary weapon, not so much. At least I couldn't figure it out. I also need to go on vacation, so I won't be able to test it anymore. Anyway, here's the build if you want to check it out. If you want to work something with the information given, simply post in comments what you think should be made different and what you think should be done to upgrade the build significantly. Any version of the build. Thanks for watching.